Greetings and welcome back. This is the second in a series of videos I'm creating to help you find the perfect story for the stage, page, or screen. You want to find the story idea that has the greatest emotional impact, the greatest potential to touch your audiences or readers deeply and get them to take action. Now, in the last video, I revealed, using the movie Wicked as an example, that there are 4 key pillars to all great stories. And those are character, desire, conflict, and transformation. So those are the 4 essential elements that any great story is built on. Therefore, if you're searching your memory or your imagination to try and come up with an idea that'll have good potential for your speech or your screenplay or your nonfiction book, then you want to eliminate any of the story ideas that don't possess all of those elements. Or you want to add whatever's missing to that idea so that it'll at least have those essential pillars before you move forward. So far, so good. Now the problem becomes deciding with each idea you come up with whether it has the potential to become outstanding. Will it engage an audience emotionally? Will it impact them deeply? Will it generate revenue for you or for the studio or the network? And is it even something you'd want to write? Now, that last question should be easy to answer. If a story idea sounds like a movie you wouldn't want to see, a book you wouldn't want to read, or a speech you'd try to avoid watching, then cross it off your list. You've had hundreds of experiences in your life to draw from, and life is too short to waste on an idea you don't even have an interest in creating. Then, of those 4 essential elements, a great story will have all 4: character, desire, conflict, and transformation. So where do you begin? I suggest you start with desire. Now, we're going to dive into the ideas of what makes a great character in a future video. But when it comes to creating the character who will eventually become your hero, you actually won't have a story until we know what that character wants. Only then will you have something for your audience to root for, something that will drive your story. So using one of my favorite all-time movies, Collateral, as an example, here is a list of qualities that a hero's desire should include in order to keep your story on your list of possibilities. Number 1, the hero's goal must be visible. In more than 40 years of coaching, this seemingly simple idea has proven to be one of the most difficult for storytellers to master, whether it's in Hollywood or business or on the stage. Now, by visible goal, I simply mean a desire that can be envisioned, so that just hearing the hero's desire enables the listener to picture exactly what achieving that goal would look like. So when the hero of Collateral, the taxi driver Max, the Jamie Foxx character, discovers that his passenger Vincent, Tom Cruise, plans to assassinate a series of people as he drives around LA, his desire becomes to stop him. As soon as we know that that's his goal, we can imagine what it would look like at the end of that movie for him to either have Vincent arrested or kill him. But he wants to stop him from going on his killing spree. This is the outcome we're emotionally invested in, and we know it will be resolved one way or the other at the climax of the story. We can picture what it would look like on the screen, and everyone else hearing that goal or watching the movie is picturing essentially the same thing to conclude the story. In other words, this goal isn't a broad, generalized desire like success, wealth, or peace of mind, though we learn early on that Max longs for all 3 of these things. But until his desire is visible, the audience doesn't know where this story is going, and they have nothing concrete to root for. Now, your own goal as a storyteller is to avoid generalizing about your hero's goal, or defining it just as an emotional state. Health, acceptance, love, or self-worth are all possible desires, but they are never as compelling as a finish line that your readers can picture. That's what keeps butts in seats, that's what keeps pages turning, and that's what keeps audiences involved in your story. Number 2, The hero must be desperate to achieve the desire. If your main character is only mildly interested in achieving her visible goal, how can you expect your audience to really care whether she succeeds? It's your hero's burning passion that's going to draw people into your story. And that's what will make the outcome of vital importance to them as well. For your story to be truly engrossing, the stakes for your hero must be incredibly high. The more your hero stands to lose if they fail, the stronger our desire to see them win. So Collateral is an action thriller about a hero forced into a life or death situation. Of course, he'll be desperate to stay alive. Plus, his morality, his attraction to the attorney Annie, the Jada Pinkett Smith character, his understanding of Detective Fanning trying to help him, the Mark Ruffalo character, and his growing hatred for Vincent, all of those things increase Max's determination to stop him. But high stakes and desperate situations aren't limited to crime stories. In love stories and all romantic comedies, the hero must realize at some point that he could lose his true love, his destiny, the object of desire, if he or she gets away. And in compelling stories about competition, victory is presented as something of vital importance to the character. So regardless of the genre, happy endings must require deep desire, great risk, and courageous action. Stories in non-fiction books, blogs, and speeches must convince us that the loss of the hero's desire and his failure to achieve what he wants will create great pain, physically or emotionally. It's not enough to tell us that the hero in your story simply wants something. We need to know why it is so important to them, and we need to know what they're willing to risk in order to have it. Only then will we fully sympathize with those characters and celebrate their victories. The next item on the list is that the hero's desire must grow and evolve. This is another story element that often creates confusion for storytellers and screenwriters. Clients often mistakenly regard the hero's visible goal as the first thing the character wants in the story, rather than the ultimate goal that is going to define the story and lead us to its climax. So in Collateral, at the start of the story, we learn that Max is a cabbie. He wants to take his customers to places in LA. He wants to have limo service of his own. He dreams of this tropical island on the postcard. Eventually he is attracted to Annie, and he wants to take Vincent around LA before he knows what he's up to. But it's only when Max is forced by Vincent to take him on a trip where he's going to assassinate people that he develops the specific goal that is going to define the movie and carry it to the end. Now, for those of you who are screenwriters or filmmakers who are familiar with my approach to movie structure, you'll know that in almost all cases, the hero's visible goal is established by the 25% mark, and that's when the hero starts pursuing that goal. So if you doubt that, just the next time you watch the video for Collateral, just use the timer on the player or your DVD player, whatever you have, and see at what point, at what percentage of the running time of the movie, you see him declare or start to pursue his goal of stopping Vincent, from what he's doing. And you'll see what I mean. Now, with a marketing story or a speech or a novel, those percentages don't really apply as much, but you still want to have things happen and build up to the desire that is going to drive the hero to the end of their story to achieve what they want. And all those desires in succession must still be visible. And even after the hero's goal is visible, or we know exactly what it'll look like, it still may involve further. So besides Max wanting to stop him, first of all, he just wants to run away from him. Then he wants to stop him. Then he's willing to crash his car to try and stop him. And then he wants to rescue Annie before he has to stop Max. Now, the one thing you can't do is completely turn a corner and change the hero's visible goal into something wildly different. So that even though Max wants to rescue Annie towards the end of the movie, it's still part of his overall desire to stop Vincent from this killing spree. But if Max all of a sudden decided, I think I'm going to be a chef, abandoned Vincent and went off in that direction, and that became a new goal, I don't think Collateral would have made the $250 million it did worldwide. In other words, your hero's desires will evolve, but they can't change completely. And they can't just simply disappear. They have to carry us, that defining goal has to carry us to the climax of the movie. The next item on the list of desire qualities that you want to embrace or include is other characters in the story must also have visible goals that they're pursuing. So in Collateral, Vincent wants to kill a series of people. Annie wants to prepare for the case she's, doing the next day. And of course, eventually she wants to, escape from Vincent herself. Okay. Detective Fanning wants to figure out, okay, what's going on here? Who's committing these murders and why? And what's it got to do with this cab that's banged up and so on? So he wants to solve the crime and also wants to stop who's ever killing these people, not knowing for a while that it's Vincent and actually thinking it's Max. And when you have these other characters who are also pursuing their goal, we become much more involved in the story. We want to know, are they going to be able to solve their problems and achieve their goals? And also, if their goal is in opposition to the hero, that creates more conflict and makes it even more emotional. But what you don't want are extraneous characters that are just sort of there passively, or that are there and don't either create more obstacle to the hero pursuing his goal or help the hero achieve that goal. But any secondary character that doesn't fulfill one of those functions, to either add more conflict or give more assistance to the hero, you need to eliminate those. Those are going to just dissipate the emotional involvement of your audience. So we're not done with the list yet, but we're done with this video. That seems like enough to absorb now. So we're going to actually have a follow-up video, a part 2, if you will, to be continued. This is becoming more like a sequel, I guess, to talk about the remaining qualities of desire before we then go on in future videos to talk about character, conflict, and transformation. So I'll see you at the next video.